My name is Jennifer Breland. I'm the Executive Director of the UAB National Alumni Society, and I'd like to thank you for joining us for the 2020 UAB National Alumni Society Annual Meeting. Tonight, we will introduce the alumni who will serve on the 2020-21 Executive Committee and Board of Directors. We had certainly hoped to have this meeting in person, but due to these unprecedented times, that currently is impossible. As we make our way through the evening, please make sure that your computer is muted. And also, in order to better identify everyone, I'd like to ask you to change your name in Zoom. If your name isn't displaying, you can find yourself in the list of participants, click More, and enter your name just so that we know who you are. Since this is a virtual event, let me apologize in advance for any technical issues or things that may seem a little bit out of place. So traditionally, our annual meeting has been held in June. However, this year, we are only a week from seeing the Blazers kick off their 2020 schedule. So we've changed the order of our program from what we typically do so that you can hear from Coach Bill Clark first, and he will be able to get back to getting his team ready to play. So while he doesn't need much introduction, I did want to share a little bit about Coach Clark's time at UAB. In 4 seasons with the Blazers, Coach has guided the program to a 35-19 record. Each season, his teams have been bowl eligible. And in 2019, UAB finished 9-5, won the Conference USA West Division, and made an appearance in the 2019 New Orleans Bowl. Please welcome UAB head football coach, Bill Clark.
Hey guys, how are y'all? I think anytime I get to speak to this group, it's an honor. As I said, I'm speaking to family, and so it's good to be here in front of you today. Jennifer, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you one question. Are we going to open it up 2 questions?
We will. After
Okay.
you get done, we'll open it for some questions.
Okay, very good. Well, I think you guys have heard me speak before on things we teach our team and things that we believe in. And so really this is going to be more about what's going on with us right now. I'm going to just kind of take you back since March. I think that's the questions we're getting from most everybody. And I will discuss, kind of what we're doing now, but I'm going to take you back from, the day we heard that what was going on with COVID. So really just kind of what happened to us in the summer, and really kind of what's going on with practice. And then usually some of the best times are when we just open it up for questions. So we'll do that, after that. So I'm going to take you back to spring training for us. We were just coming off of early signing date in January. We had what we considered a good year, but a disappointing end. This was the team, and I guess I'll backtrack even further. I think we all know, I know I'm talking to a lot of people that know our history, but I'm going to take you back to really the team from 18, which was the team that we brought in to bring our program back, 17, 18, winning the championship. And we knew when we brought in a lot of 2-year players, a lot of junior college players, that there was going to be a lot of those guys leaving us after that 18 season. And really the last year, other than starting our program back from scratch, was really my biggest worry. How are we going to handle it? Just the number of players that had played. So our starter and our backup in a lot of cases were seniors. So for that team to kind of come, and y'all remember obviously the Alabama State game, which was a lot closer than I wanted it to be, till finding a way to win the West out at North Texas, and then the tough FAU game that we had, and then to play what I really was other than the fact it wasn't a win, which is what we play for, the tough App State game where we led and had some breaks go the other way. I think from that second on, this team has started talking about winning a championship, and that's all relative to how hard we work and some things going our way. So when we went into spring training, a couple of things were going on in February, 1st of March. We had a lot of veterans back, but we had a lot of guys we had to fix. And that's kind of what happens with college football. A lot of guys have nagging injuries and things that maybe get put off till the 1st of spring. And so we had about 20 guys that missed spring, but had a lot of good competition going on, and we were really lucky that we got in 6 practices prior to the COVID outbreak. And, the question for us immediately is, what do we do? How long is this going to last? Like probably every one of us sitting here, whether you're dealing with your kids, your kids from they go to school, high school, college, or even yourself with your job, what were we going to do? How are we going to handle it? And, as all of us, we all became pretty good at Zoom. And so we were virtual recruiting on Zoom. We were talking to our players. And I think one of the things that we are really proud of here, and I think for all of us, it's that sense of family that we're all looking for. And I think that's the thing that I always want here at UAB for our players, our team, our staff. And I think that was something that we really fell back on was this communication. And through all those times, March and April, the unknown of what are we going to do. And, the common thing for our players is, Coach, we just want to get back to work. And I think, something I'm really proud of, we handled our academics really well in these virtual classes and got our jobs done. And then here came May, and we're still out. And it's, can we find a way to play safely? Obviously it's great to be at a place that we've got world-class medicine, and as I say, the best place in the country for that, which is a lot of you guys are part of that. But I think for us to start finding a way to bring our players back, and our country went through a bunch of uncertain times during that, and people would ask, well, Coach, what did you tell your players through the George Floyd tragedy and all that? And I think the common thing for us is we communicate all the time, we talk all the time, we have this relationship. And not that everything's always perfect, but I was really proud of our guys, our coaches, and how they stay connected to our players and all those tough times. And to get to come back at the 1st of June with still uncertain circumstances. And, we tested our whole team, had just a few positives out of that whole team early on and had to navigate through that from quarantine, et cetera. But we were able to lift in small groups, had about 80 guys from June 15th till July 13th. July 13th, we welcomed the whole team back. And so we got to start, once again, we stayed in small groups. The NCAA allowed us to have a walkthrough period, which was about 10 days that kind of made up for the spring training we missed. But could not have been more proud of these guys. I think the energy and the excitement and the doing what we asked to do, the being tested, the mask wearing, of course, we're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old young people, and that's not always perfect. Maybe sometimes they do a better job of it than I do, but they did really well on that, and we got to go back to practice at the 1st of August, thinking we were going to be playing New Mexico State. And so we started practice earlier than almost anybody in the country. The people that play on that opening Thursday. We started hearing some rumblings about some teams maybe pulling out or not playing. We got the news about Old Dominion. Before that, even we had heard about, a lot of the FCS schools dropping out. And then New Mexico State, dropped out on us just a few weeks ago. And so to lose 3 games and 2 home games was really, I think a little disheartening, but I think our players just kept fighting and battling and practicing well. And of course, we've tested 3 weeks in a row, knock on wood, with 0 positives. So that's been terrific for our players. But we've really had a great camp up to this point. We were a little bunged up last week, but, coming this week, which I say now we're in game week, we're starting to get everybody back healthy. We have been no season-ending injuries. So that's been a definite blessing. And then, we find out that we were able to get Central Arkansas. They're playing in a kickoff classic in Montgomery. So they were looking for a game. And as I tell people, anytime somebody is looking for a game, Louisiana, they feel pretty good about their team. And so this was a team in different polls. You could see them 8th. I mean, even as high as number 1 in FCS. So we have got our work cut out for us. They opened up last year, beat Western Kentucky at Western Kentucky. So, of course, I think that got our players' attention. And then, of course, we go to Miami the next week. We are in the middle of testing now 3 times. I think Conference USA is leading maybe all conferences in the amount of testing we're doing per week. So being very safe, which is, our mantra. I think I probably talked academics first and then safety. I think I'm talking safety first, then academics. We're just getting ready to play. And so today is Monday for us. We had a Monday yesterday, and you said, well, Coach, it's Thursday. Well, it's Monday for us when you play on a Thursday. So tomorrow will be a Tuesday and so on. Central Arkansas, plays this Saturday. So I believe we'll get to see those guys on TV. And we'll be opening up on next Thursday, the 3rd at 7 o'clock. We need all of you there. And hopefully we're going to put a good product out on the field. And as you know, this is the last run at Legion Field. So I don't know if it could be more historic than that. And Legion Field has been a great home to us. And, we've got the nation's third longest winning streak. So we're going to try and keep that going for you and for us, and try and make you proud. So, Jennifer, let's just open it up for some questions, if that's good for you. I know I covered a lot of topics and talked pretty fast, but if that's good with you, we'll just take our time and answer as many questions as we got. Is that good?
That's great. We've got the questions coming in, and we're kind of combining those that have the same topic. So I'll start feeding them to you.
Okay.
First off is, can we host a conference championship game?
That's a good question. I don't see why we couldn't. Obviously we've got the perfect space for it. To be socially distant in our big stadium. So I don't know any reason why we couldn't, and I would assume we could, and assume we would probably be as good or better than anybody in the conference to do that. So, of course, you know what I got to do. I got to get us to that game. We got to get to the championship game to get to host it, but I believe we can. I don't know any reason why we couldn't.
Excellent. The next question is, have any newcomers caught your eye?
Yeah, good question. I will start. We got Tyree Turner, who is a defensive lineman from South Alabama, who's a graduate transfer. Kind of will remind you, explosive-wise, of Garrett Marino. Trey Shropshire is a wide receiver from Blinn. Those are two guys that have stood out. We've got a couple guys that will be sitting out this year because of not being seniors and transferring from a Power 5. But there'll be some guys to keep an eye on, and I obviously just having a lot of guys that have gotten older and bigger and stronger. I think you're going to see some guys that may not look quite like they did before.
Perfect. Do you feel that we are fortunate to play in Legion Field this season, as it will allow for social distancing, and how does that impact the team?
Yeah, I think we are. Let's just be honest. I think the fact that we can be socially distant and still have a pretty big crowd. If with us with 70-something thousand capacity, I think we can really get out and spread out and do what's needed to do from a social distance standpoint, and still have a good crowd there. So, I think it just means everything for our players to play at our place. And any place is only a building or only a structure if you don't put the work in. So, back in January, I've said it many times, we start Friday mornings, 6 a.m., and it's brutally cold, and we run, we work, and we run those stadium steps. And it's tough. Those guys pay a really big price. But what that does is that is what they remember. And so when I circle up the team before the game, and y'all seen that, that's what we talk about. We talk about every week the price we've paid to be here and not letting people down. But I talk a lot about not letting you guys down, not letting our community down. And we're playing for not just ourselves, but all of you. And we paid a price to be here. And so let's finish this thing up right at Legion Field.
That's right. With Garrett Marino gone, who are you looking to fill his role of leadership and toughness that he brought?
Yeah, I think that's really something that's got to permeate the whole team and the whole defense especially. I think one of the things I'm really excited about is we've got a really deep front. The D-line and those outside linebackers are, I say it all the time, you can have great players or you can have a bunch of really good players. And, I think we've probably got more guys than we've had. And, with the situation we're in with COVID or injuries or just the depth. When you think of tempo offense and how fast people play now, you've got to have multiple people that can sub and keep each other fresh. And I really think it's the deepest group we've had up front. So I think the whole group, is doing a good job. And, I don't know if you replace a Garrett Marino, you just, you try and keep working. But I think we got some guys that'll try.
Have the other quarterbacks been able to push Tyler Johnson?
Yeah, I think both really, all of our guys. I think, we really got three behind Tyler, including Jalen Parker, who is really our fourth guy who played at Hoover, who really does a great job on scout team. And, his dad played here years ago. But Hopkins and Lucero are both very talented. Hopkins has gone through a couple injuries this summer, and, he'd get to work with the first group, and then he'd have this and that. But Bryson Lucero is running number 2 right now because Dylan's out. got to start in one of the scrimmages because Tyler was bunged up, and he's definitely pushed Tyler and made him better. So we're going to have some options this year.
What are the protocols that our opponents have in testing, and how do you feel about the transparency of those procedures?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think now you're getting into my mind a little bit of, are we all on the same footing? Is it all fair? Now, Central Arkansas, we will actually test those guys on Sunday. So, we'll see how that goes, but they will actually be tested by us. I don't know what they've done. I don't know if they tested one time in the first summer or what's happened really there, but they will be tested this Sunday, and we'll have a Sunday, we just had a test yesterday. We'll have a Sunday test, and then we'll take another one right before the game. So I promise you we'll be tested. So just from when a guy whose whole job is to try and win games, it's a little frustrating to not maybe be on the same page. But I think for the most part, everything I'm hearing, I know the ACC is supposed to be pretty strict. So there's the Miami game. And then our conference is all on the same page. So everybody in our conference should be the same, you would assume.
Is there an advantage or disadvantage to having one fewer conference game than the others?
And that's a good question. So, that's something I'm supposed to be, told before our first game that from a ratio or percentage or how, they're going to find a way to judge us on those games that we've played. So I've yet to see that, because there was talk that we would just double up and play in another opponent, but I think it affected so many schedules we just couldn't do it. So, but there's supposed to be a formula to make that fair.
All right. How do you feel about special teams with having to replace Nick Vogel?
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, Nick's been here with us all the way back since 2014, and it was just such a luxury to have this guy that worked like any other position. And of course, Coach Thomas coaching a specialist and him having been a specialist at, before in college has been obviously one of the big things that helps for us. But, we've got a really good group of specialists. We've got Fuqua back snapping and Greenwell back at punter. And then we brought in some guys, Wilson Beaverstock kicking and Quinn kicking and Kobe Neenan who was at Tulane. Is a guy that's going to push those guys. He's a punter and a kicker. So a lot of good specialists that that are all working really hard. So once again, I don't know if you replace Nick or just, it's just the next guy up.
Does it look like Protective Stadium will be ready for the first game of the 2021 season?
I got to go out there in June. Mr. Gorey gave me a good tour, and he had been after me to come out there and see it. And, the foreman, all he could talk about was how far ahead of schedule they were. I don't know if Mr. Gorey really liked that. But I think they're moving. I think it's going to be close. I really do. I think we're going to be really close. Obviously, we all go by it and see it. I need to get back out there. Maybe on the open date, I'll get out there and see if I can pin them down a little bit more.
In what ways, if any, has your coaching philosophy changed during your years at UAB?
I think it's an evolution, a constant. I say the whole the book on coaching is gray. There's not a lot of black and white. It's dealing with people. It's dealing with personalities. It's dealing with what's going on, whether in their hometown or with their family or with each other or playing time or, so I think it's about managing people, whether it's my staff or these guys managing the things they go through on a daily basis. And I say this to them every day. When we walk out on that field, it's business, and I've got to coach you. And then when we walk off, it's the relationship of family and me kind of being the dad for a bunch of people and loving them and taking care of them. And so I think hopefully they see that. And, I'm constantly talking to them about the things that, the 30-year-old them, the 35-year-old them, the 40-year-old them, that they take what we've taught them and take it with them for the rest of their lives. And of course, being at our school, world-class education, I think, what else could be better than that to equip them with this degree from UAB.
Excellent. Will we be able to play the Children's Harbor game this year?
Yeah. So, the biggest problem we've had is getting our uniforms, like everybody that's gone through COVID. So, we feel like we're going to get our great uniforms, and we hope so. But yeah, we're going to recognize Children's Harbor in some manner, some fashion, whether all the former patients that can be there will be there or not, but they will be recognized, and we're not going to lose that tradition. It's too important to me and to our team and in UAB football.
What position group are you most excited about this year?
Whoa, you're going to get me in trouble here. I don't know. I always have a hard time. I know that's kind of a cop out on the question, but I'm really looking for big things out of our offense because we had to replace so many guys. I mean, Spencer Brown is down to 217 pounds. He was almost 240 last year, and you looked at him, he was not fat. He just needed to lose a little bit for his quickness. And so, we got more depth at running back. Our O-line is back. And then, of course, I'm always excited about the defense and the fact that we've been a top 10 defense nationally 2 years in a row. So got to keep that going. But, I think for all of us, I talk to them all the time about expectations for our program. We've raised our own expectations, and, we've got to continue to try and live up to that, which is the way I like it.
So to follow that one, how do you see the running game shaping up this season?
Yeah, we're going to be much improved there. I'll promise you that. We have worked super hard this offseason. We did a lot of studying. We had some ideas really kind of by the end of the year of some things we were going to go to. And once again, when you have an inexperienced O-line, you see the difference with experience at 18 and 19. And we did get better as the year went on, but we've got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to be balanced, but you got to have a running game to win a championship. And, I think we've proven that. We like to be balanced, but we got to have a really good running game.
What can you tell us about Central Arkansas, and how did you prepare on such short notice?
Yeah, good question. I think the thing that that people probably know, if you know me, know that I like to be prepared. And we had really, really worked hard on New Mexico State, Alabama A&M. That's what we did during that whole Zoom. All the Zoom conferences, we're working on them. We're watching film. This was going on. So we really met and talked about those two opponents and Miami 3 different times. And, we were like, we're going to be totally prepared for these guys. And then the game gets canceled. So here's Central Arkansas. 9 wins last year. They got beat in the first round of FCS from a really good Illinois State team. They've got their whole team back, which tells you all you need to know. They beat Western Kentucky. Of their 9 wins, they were trailing in the fourth quarter. 3 of those 6, they were double digit down to come back in the fourth. So kind of like us, they're not going to quit. They're not going to give up. I've heard their players are kind of talking about this is the game we've been looking forward to go knock off an FBS team. And, so like I said, this is the opponent that was, out there looking for a game. So if that tells you anything, they're kind of like, okay, we know we're good, and we're willing to come to you and make it happen. So, once again, we've got to be ready.
What off the radar newcomer has made the biggest impact so far this season?
Oh, good question. I don't know if I can answer. I tell you, a guy to watch for is some of our guys on the outside. Rob Johnson, who was a redshirt last year, and Trey Shropshire is 2 of the receivers outside that maybe you don't know those names. I think you're going to know most of our guys that are coming back. But that's 2 guys at receiver spot that you might not know that, they'll both be kind of co-starting. So look for those guys at the outside spot opposite Austin Watkins and Myron Mitchell.
All right. What can we expect from the other teams in Conference USA?
Well, we're in a great conference, and you can see that 3 out of the last 5 years we've won the head-to-head bowl competition. There's a name for that cup that they give away that I don't know what it is, but our conference has won it 3 out of 5 years, which means we've got a really good football conference. It's important. Other than Old Dominion, I don't think there was much of a doubt that Conference USA was wanting to play. We've got great football players and come out of this conference, great coaches, and a lot of these guys keep playing. So, it's a big deal, and it's gotten to be a big deal for them to have a chance to beat us. So I don't mean that arrogantly in any way, but we're getting their best game. So I talk about that all the time about how we've got to be ready.
All right, let's see. Thoughts on the NCAA allowing players to have another year of eligibility. Does this impact us since we are playing this year?
Yeah, the opt-out I don't, obviously from a health and safety standpoint, I understood it. I think, the hardest thing for a coach is it allows guys to not play, but still, be on scholarship. But we understood because it went with health and safety. I think the best thing that happened was they gave these guys a chance to keep playing with all the, the negativity maybe that was out there. So I'm really pleased with the NCAA doing that. And I think it just gives our guys a reason to say, hey, why not play? As long as it's safe, and we've proven to be very safe. So I think for our guys, it's really give them a peace of mind that they can play and then still, have a possible another year next year or not lose any eligibility this year. I got about 2 more minutes, Jennifer.
All right, I'm going to wrap us up with 2 last questions.
All right, 2 more.
How do you keep the team focused and preparing now as they are hunted back-to-back West Division?
Yeah, I think it's everything, and I think that's, it's having confidence but not being arrogant. It's really just looking every week at that next opponent and not maybe their record or their past. And I think that's where some experience comes in. And, I've been having what I would call senior and leadership group, who are not all seniors, since January. And what does leadership look like? What do we need? How do you influence that locker room? So, that's what we've got to do a good job of.
All right, to finish us up, is there any serious talk about changing conferences?
I think there's always there's a buzz on what's best for us, what other conferences would be interested in us. And I think, Conference USA has been good for us. I think the only question ever is exposure and really the financial implications of the TV deals. And so, when you start talking $7-8 million plus from TV, you've got to look at that, because what does it do for your football program, your athletic department? So, but I really hadn't heard a lot about that recently. And of course, I've been a big fan of Conference USA. They believed in us when we shut the program down. They stayed with us. They wanted us back. So we'll always be appreciative of them for that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening and sharing this information. So we appreciate all that you're doing for our program, and we look forward to all being out there to cheer on the team on September 3rd.
All right, guys. Hey, y'all have a great meeting, and appreciate you having me on. Y'all be there on Thursday. We need you. We need you at the home games. Go Blazers.
All right, we'll see you there. Go Blazers.
See y'all.
All right. So at this time, I'd like to turn things over to Hafiz Shandawala, current president of the National Alumni Society.
Jennifer, appreciate those words from Coach Clark and him spending so much of his time with us. Those great questions from the group and even better answers from Coach. So thank you for inviting him to be with us. As our program continues tonight, I do want to recognize and welcome several NAS past presidents, current and past board members, as well as junior board members who are joining us tonight. So thank you for being with us. Before we get the introduction to the 2020-21 Executive Committee and Board of Directors, I'd like to take a brief moment to share some thoughts and highlights from this year under the current board's leadership. To say this past year has been interesting and eventful would be an understatement. However, we're proud to have accomplished so much, and we've adapted and gone through very many changes this year. First, part of our mission of the National Alumni Society, as you know, is to provide UAB students with scholarships. These help ease the financial burden and allow our students to focus on ensuring academic success. The Society is proud to have partnered with our schools and colleges in raising over $2.6 million from our alumni to provide student scholarships in 2019 and 2020. Additionally, through the support of our members and friends who participated in our largest fundraising efforts, which are Uncork Education and our first ever virtual scholarship run, as well as our annual Valentine's sales, we raised over $120,000 this year to fund student scholarships. Prior to the pandemic, we hosted events such as the annual Alumni Leadership and Recognition Awards, the Rising Star Awards, the Legacy Pinning Ceremony, and freshman send-offs. However, as you know, in March, we were forced to rethink everything that we were doing in order to continue providing alumni with meaningful programming. This included adjusting to new ways of engagement, when we can't be with people together and gather in places. So since then, the NAS has been hosting events and recognition awards online, including the Excellence in Business Top 25 Awards, several different webinar series that include educational and personal interest topics, and some UAB trivia nights. Although this has been a significant change, we've been fortunate to be able to connect not only with alumni in Birmingham, but also in regions all over the country and even the world. Where distance may previously have been a barrier, we now have platforms to reach out much further. And these platforms were needed to adjust to the current time, but they will be a bigger part of our engagement moving forward in the future. Finally, with the number of UAB graduates growing quickly, it is important that our organization provides a voice for all alumni that is inclusive of every graduate and allows for opportunities for alumni to support their alma mater in ways that are most meaningful to them. The NAS belongs to all of us. When you earn your degree, you earn a voice in UAB's future, and our new membership model reflects our alma mater's ideals for inclusivity, diversity, and accessibility. Therefore, in mid-July, the NAS announced that the strategic decision to change our membership model to a non-dues-based membership model. So starting October 1, I'm excited to say that the membership dues to join the NAS will be a thing of the past. By eliminating these dues, the NAS will become a more inclusive organization that belongs to all of our alumni. From here on in, every graduate of UAB past, present, and future will automatically be enrolled as members of the UAB National Alumni Society. So dues and sign-ups are out and you are in. So tonight we want to take a brief moment to share a video from our campaign.
I'm in.
I'm in.
No doubt I'm in.
You don't even have to ask me that. You know I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Oh, you know I'm in.
Your degree from UAB can take you anywhere. And now, it gives you full access to a Blazer network 150,000 strong. No matter your degree or when you went to school, you are a full active member of the UAB National Alumni Society the moment you graduate. Sign-ups and membership fees are out. From here on, in.
So you can learn more about the campaign by visiting the URL on the screen there, if you want to take that down. And there you can find more about the campaign and read through our frequently asked questions and let us know if you are in. On behalf of the National Alumni Society, thank you for supporting us and the university throughout the past year. So at this time, I'll call the 41st annual meeting of the UAB National Alumni Society to order. And according to the NAS bylaws, the election of officers and directors takes place through an electronic ballot that includes the opportunity for 2 write-in candidates. This year, the NAS contracted with My Direct Vote to facilitate the election and to certify the results. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Jennifer Breland, Assistant Vice President of Alumni and Executive Director of the UAB National Alumni Society, to provide the results of the election for the 2020-2021 National Alumni Society officers and directors. Jennifer?
Thank you, Hafiz. This year's elections were held May 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2020. As part of our contract with My Direct Vote, the final results were sent to me on June 1st, 2020. The following individuals were selected by the Board Nominating Committee, confirmed by the Board of Directors, and elected by the NAS membership to serve as the 2020-2021 officers and directors of the UAB National Alumni Society. Each meets the qualifications to serve the NAS as outlined in the bylaws. The 2020-2021 UAB National Alumni Society Board of Directors will be President, Mr. Ryan Robinette, immediate past President, Mr. Hafiz Shandawala, President-elect, Ms. Tammy Thomas, Vice Presidents, Dr. Catherine Amos, Ms. Sally Bradley, Mr. Perry Herndon, and Ms. Sherry Robinson. Treasurer is Mr. Armand Carter. Elected directors to serve 2020 to 2023 are Ms. Kathy Boswell, Mr. James Camel, Dr. James Kilgore, Mr. Sam Miller, Mr. Terrence Moultrie, and Dr. Deanne Summerall. Returning directors are Dr. Johnny Bates, Mr. Tony Caesar, Ms. Margie Gilbert, Mr. Chris Hackney, Dr. Chung Hao Kao, Ms. Lisa Lorino, Dr. Bernardo McMillan, Mr. Scott Moran, Dr. Douglas Ragland, and Dr. Shilpa Register. These positions and individuals on the board will be effective October 1st, 2020. Hafiz, I'll hand it back to you. Oh, can't hear you.
Sorry. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate you taking us through that and giving us the update on the election. This concludes the business portion of the annual meeting. At this time, I'd like to turn over the program to our very capable Ryan Robinette, our current president-elect. Ryan?
Thank you, Hafiz. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Robinette, and I am the incoming president of the UAB National Alumni Society Board of Directors. As president, I'm looking forward to working with the members of the board, with the members of UAB and that whole inclusive group who were announced today and earlier tonight. I would like to thank everyone for being here tonight and for supporting the society. Before we close, I would like to take a moment to share my personal appreciation and then our sort of corporate and holistic appreciation to Hafiz for spending the last year serving as NAS president. Hafiz has been a board member since 2014. The photos you see there of a younger Hafiz are through his, from the years he spent at all of the NAS events that we've shared together. So thank you, Hafiz. We are grateful for your leadership, the dedication that you provided to the NAS over the years, and especially as board president this past year. So on behalf of all of us and you know, me personally, thank you for your guidance and your service to the group.
Thank you.
So to all, thank you for allowing us to host tonight's virtual annual meeting. I'd like to encourage you to stay connected by attending our future events. Follow the various social media accounts, post, like, engage with us in those spaces, and then also tune in to the UAB Green and Gold podcast. It's a good podcast and very informative. And we look forward to you being a part of our events in the future, and obviously hope to have the opportunity to host all of you in person very soon. So with that, I'll bring us to a close. Good night and go Blazers.